Tonight on So Cal Connected.
This is a not happy city.
Small town, big problems. Can a struggling community rise up and get the government it deserves?
All I want to do is get the bumps out.
Plus, Republicans fall short in D.C. and lose ground in Sacramento. What's next for the GOP? And
this is the story of the special few at the very top.
He's had the right stuff for 50 years. Tom Wolfe talks to Madeline Brand. So Cal Connected is made possible through the generous support of the Amundsen Foundation, serving the Los Angeles community since 1952. Jim and Ann Rothenberg, the Maddox Brown Foundation, the John Randolph Haynes and Dora Haynes Foundation, the California Endowment, and by UCLA. So Cal Connected starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Val Zavala. You remember the bombshells last summer. In the South LA County gateway city of Bell, leaders, including elected officials, accused of looting the treasury and pulling down exorbitant salaries. They were investigated, booted out of office, thrown in jail. Day after day, Bell dominated the headlines. But just a couple miles away, the working class community of Huntington Park is living through its own ordeal. But you haven't heard about it until now. Vince Gonzalez has our exclusive investigation.
Yo no comprendo lugares hay.
These streets are on the edge of southeast Los Angeles County. They're the backbone of a small but scrappy town dotted with used car lots and small storefronts. Bordered by scandal-plagued cities like Vernon, Bell, and Maywood, this is Huntington Park. Once affluent, but now mainly working class and Latino, the average income here is $37,000. Out of a population of about 58,000, only a quarter are registered to vote. Less than half don't have a high school diploma.
In general, those are good families who do the best that they can do.
Edmundo Vicente Perez has lived here 23 years. Like most residents, he viewed city politics from afar, but that changed in August when he heard his water bill was going up because the city says they're too broke to subsidize water rates anymore. Upset, he took his gripe to City Hall.
This city has a problem of irresponsible expenditure.
Other residents joined in.
With the way the economy is, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves.
Do we have a heart? I mean, when they can't buy milk or food, this is terrible.
But soon the chorus of jeers turned towards this man, the city attorney, Francisco Leal.
But why are you paying him $600,000? He's not the golden boy.
Leal has made millions as an attorney for Huntington Park and other southeast LA cities. He's moved from town to town for years, often serving as a lobbyist and contract city attorney. And sometimes controversy followed him. In 2005, he was terminated from his job as lobbyist and city attorney of commerce. He settled with the city and agreed to pay $70,000. Questions about his firm have also been raised in places like Linwood and Alhambra, but not in Huntington Park. Since 2000, the city has paid Leal's various firms over $4 million to be a lobbyist, the city attorney, and legal counsel for the city's redevelopment department.
My question is, what are the legal affairs of such a small city that it's costing them so much to pay for their attorney?
We asked Laura Chick about all of this. She is the former LA City Controller and was California's Inspector General for stimulus funds.
This law firm has had this city's business since 2003. Did they put out a competitive bid in 2003, and have they done it every few years?
According to our review of public records, the answer is no.
I also think an attorney who is doing work for a city owes that city complete openness and transparency about who all of his and his firm's clients are, so that they can always check to see, is there a conflict of interest?
Which brings us back to where we started. Remember the residents' anger over water bills? What Francisco Leal didn't tell the public at that meeting was that he is also the attorney for the Local Water Replenishment District, or WRD. 3 neighboring cities, Cerritos, Downey, and Signal Hill, are suing WRD, claiming their charges are unfair. But Huntington Park was one of a handful of cities that sided with the WRD in that lawsuit. Remember, Huntington Park City Attorney Francisco Leal is also the attorney for the WRD. and Leal's lobbying firm was paid by the WRD to consult on community outreach. Since 2011, his firm has billed the WRD over $1 million, while at the same time collecting $37,500 a month from Huntington Park, one of the poorest cities in LA County.
And what a bad symbol for the hardworking, not very rich residents of this struggling city, right? They're faced with huge water rate increases, and they're watching their city attorney, who works for a water district, raking in, it sounds like, almost $1 million for his law firm. That's a pretty hard blow.
We asked the WRD's board chair if Huntington Park was getting good advice given the potential for a conflict of interest.
I believe that they are, because they're not suing us. It's the other cities that are suing us that are getting the bad advice. So it's not the city of Huntington Park, in my opinion, that's getting the bad advice.
At a recent city council meeting where officials were supposed to consider renewing his city attorney contract, we asked Leal.
Don't you feel like there's a conflict?
Not when we're all on the same side. Absolutely not.
But
we're all on the same side.
How are you giving advice?
I'm giving great advice to both entities. I really am. You'd be impressed. You'd be proud.
My first impression is that it is a mess.
We asked Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson about Leal, the WRD, and Huntington Park.
So we have one person who simultaneously is a consultant, which is kind of an undefined gray term in this situation, a lobbyist, which seems to look a lot like a consultant, and an attorney. And it's not only the same person wearing all those hats, but wearing them for various parties who are all involved in the same litigations. There are too many relationships going on here.
Relationships that Leal told us he never put in writing to the city council. No disclosures and no conflict of interest statements.
Was there a disclosure statement?
No, I'm sorry. We ran it by our conflict counsel. So there was no disclosure statement. We can provide it for the council if that's what they want.
So the council didn't sign a disclosure statement?
No, the council does not have a disclosure statement.
Don't you think they should have?
Well, we'll give it to them. If they desire, we'll give it to them.
Lawyers put things in writing all the time. This is kind of our bread and butter. Is not much of what we do is just on a handshake or a wink and a nod, particularly when it comes to ethical duties, when it comes to duty of loyalty, when it comes to having confidential information.
California state bar rules appear to require written disclosure when an attorney represents two parties in a lawsuit. But Leal told us he didn't have to do that. And when we asked him if the city council knew about his double duties, we got two different answers.
When did you tell the city council?
We had a discussion over a month ago about this issue.
And when did you start as a city attorney here?
Oof, God, it seems like a lifetime, to be honest with you.
Because 2003.
I think so, I'm not sure.
And then you started in December 2010 at the Water District. Okay. So that is almost 2 years now you've gone without telling them that you've had these dual roles.
They knew. They've always known. If you talk to members, they've known that I represent them.
Based on what I'm hearing, this attorney is opening the city up for liability issues by not revealing certain things, by allowing perception to occur, by having quiet, private conversations instead of on public record.
So who knew what and when? We went to the city council to find out, but they just ran away from our cameras.
Did you know that? Did you guys know that Francisco Leal has also been serving as the attorney for the water board? Did you know Francisco Leal was also the attorney for the water district? Did you know that?
You know what? We'll talk about it.
The day after we asked Leal and the council questions about his contract, he abruptly resigned, saying Huntington Park needed a more hands-on and engaged city attorney. And now, for the first time in 9 years, the city attorney's contract is going out for bid. And at that same city council meeting where we spoke with Leal, citizens served all 5 council members with recall papers.
There's no other way to remove them except with a recall. So we're following the model of Bell because there's a lot of abuse and there's no other way to get them out except to do a recall, to have all the people engage in a very democratic way. All I want to do is get the bums out, including him.
That may require getting more people to the voting booth, says LA historian DJ Waldy.
What we really need is an active electorate and an engaged news media
who bring something to these communities they don't currently have. We got to break up the old boy, old girl networks and make these cities more successful democracies.
And with us now is Vince Gonzalez. Boy, that is a great report. What happens now? Because he's resigned, but that doesn't clear up the mess.
No, and there's still a lot of questions. We filed many public information requests with cities and agencies across the area. Some of them got back to us and gave us documents. Some of them haven't responded. Others say they're trying to help us. In fact, we got an email from the WRD that we mentioned in our piece today saying that they can't peel off the staff to help with our information request because they're too busy having their books audited by the state of California.
Well, that's a good sign if the state of California is looking at them.
There's definitely an interest in these water boards, and it's such an interesting little world that most people don't even realize how much it affects them, how much it affects their life and their pocketbook. So a lot of people are beginning to take a closer look at these boards and a closer look at the interrelationships between lawyers, city officials, and these little agencies that dot our area.
It is important because city councils are, of course, in the spotlight, as are even county supervisors, but there's so many of these boards that have these inner workings that none of us ever see.
You know, California did this some time ago. It used to be there were just a few large water boards that handled different parts of the state. And someone at some point decided it would be better to break them up and to give more local control, but that's also resulted in kind of a loss of oversight. And so there's going to be a change coming, I think.
That's great. And good for that one citizen who got fed up and got tired of the increasing water rates, and did he kind of start it?
I think that he was definitely one of those loud voices in the meeting, and there were a lot of angry people there who just said it was time for a change.
So good to see them speak up for their rights. Vince, thank you so much. We look forward